Szerro. With me, as always, I have the one and only Mr. Akamarured. What's up, Aka? How's it going? Yeah, so with us today, we have our special guest, Mr. Sheepy. What's up, Sheepy? How's it going? We've been wanting to have you on the show for quite a bit. We're going to get into who you are and what you do in just a minute for those who don't know. But before we do that, I wanted to get into some news.
The legend begins.
So, this week we have Monkey of the Week. That's going to be coming tomorrow. It's going to be on Thursday. It's always every Thursday. But just be aware, it's a thing. Definitely want to plan it if you have time. After that,
I can't play tomorrow either. I'm watching Mission Impossible.
on Saturday we have the Seekers of Mysteries. That is the Revelation tournament. That's going to be coming on Saturdays. And then this weekend we have the Singapore World Circuit. I'm definitely really excited to watch that one. On Tuesday we have. They can't hear us. They can't hear you and Sheepy. What the heck? You absolutely can say whatever you want. Why can't you hear? What the heck? Try talking now.
Hello, testing 1, 2, 3.
All right, I believe they should be able to hear you now. If we can get,
There's always something new.
yeah, it's always something new. We're this time we're using the Streamlabs version of OBS, so has some unexpected issues. But I think you guys should be able to hear now. JK, we can hear.
Beep beep. I'm a sheep.
I said beep beep. I'm a sheep. I'm like almost positive the audio is working. All right, so we were just talking about Singapore. On Tuesday we have the Dawnbreakers tournament, and then we're gonna have after that on the 5th of August, which is going to be a Sunday. We're going to have the next Team Omnibus Pauper format, and I believe that's going to be an unlimited format. That's going to be casted by myself and by Oga. Then we have the Rotation Grand Prix coming up. I believe that's next week, right?
Yep.
And then after that, on the 17th, Friday the 17th, HSK is going to be hosting our very own team league. This is the second one we're having. This one is going to be of rotation format. So get yourself and get 2 other friends and come up with a lineup and start playing some Shadowverse together. It's a really fun, it's a different format. It's always fun to see the different players collaborating and coming up with really strong plays.
It's my favorite format of every available format at the moment. One of my pleasure, let's say guilty pleasures, is casting that tournament because it's very intensive, very high quality plays, very impressive plays. We saw a clash between CPV, I believe, and Disaster. I think Sheepy was on Disaster's team, and it was a very impressive match. We saw some sworders going crazy, losing our minds, and I think it was one of my favorite games to watch. Was a game where I believe 9 Barbarossas died or something like that, but it was impressive.
It was like a 45-minute mid-range sword mirror. It was so awesome. So that's it for the news for this week. More importantly, let's get into our interview.
Who am I?
So, Sheepy, who are you?
Who am I? None of your business. Yeah. So I am playing for Shadowverse for Team Disaster currently right now.
Mhm.
With my dog together here.
You guys seem like a good team.
And, yeah, the dog helps me playing Shadowverse. Otherwise, I would be scrub. So it's all credits to the dog. You see why I got second right at tours?
Yeah,
Because
because the dog wasn't there. It makes sense. It all makes so
Yeah.
much sense.
Oh
So-
my god. Poor doggy.
Uh,
So
yeah.
how did you get into Shadowverse, and like what do you do outside of Shadowverse?
So I started very long ago. I'm one of like basically the OGs who's playing Shadowverse.
Hmm.
I've been playing like Shadowverse for almost 2 years. I think it's actually 2 years. I think I started like somewhere around August.
Always competitive, right? You were always
No, at the start I just played my arena and right like just as a new player and started playing competitive around like December 2016. Like when the EXG stuff was going on, and then I started playing competitive there. But I was not like I basically started having more success when like NA and EU split apart through the SVO thing and NGE back at that time, and that's when I started like topping and constantly staying at the top.
So when you started playing Shadowverse, what was the class that was the most attractive to you, and what's the one that you find that you enjoy the most nowadays?
Double D shift.
Double D shift.
double D.
I mean, I actually started playing, I think, mostly Forest,
Hmm.
but it was fairly expensive. So I had to grind up my money, so to say, with D-Shift because D-Shift was cheap. And then you can say it in many perspectives. D-Shift is cheap.
Hmm.
And from the cheap deck, I crafted like PDP Forest at that time, which was like the strongest and hardest deck to play. And those two were like my favorite. And I would still say that Forest and Rune are still my favorite classes. I really don't like Sword. It's like, ugh. I still don't like Shadow, even though mid-range Shadow is fairly like complex and hard to play. It's just not my play style, and I rather play like Rune and Forest.
What's your favorite playstyle? Is it a combo oriented playstyle or do you like to play?
It's something like between combo and control, but control does not work anymore. I used to be known as like the control player, like the ultimate control player, because every time I had success, it was not me on combo, but rather me on control.
Hmm.
So people just kept in mind
Yeah,
that this is them.
I remember your lineups always having Dragon on them. I think I remember that from the first season of NG. I believe you were always at some sort of Ramp Dragon
Yeah,
list.
I play like Seraph, Control Blood, Neftis, and like those super slow grindy decks, and they they don't exist anymore. Currently, the slowest what we have in the entire meta is I don't know Tenko, right? That's as much
Yeah,
as you can count for
I think
control,
that's the style. Yeah,
but
the
it's still
slowest.
not control really. Kind of, it's I don't know.
It's an
Yeah,
interesting
even though
style
it's a
deck.
control deck, they play a lot more threats than the answers, right? So it's not
Yeah,
typically
yeah.
a normal standard
It's like a
control list.
mid-range control
Yeah,
kind of.
it's
Yeah.
like a slower, grindy mid range or control. Yeah, yeah.
And maybe like Giant Chimera is also like something you can consider one of the more control-y style decks that we have in the format. But
Yeah,
that's also more
it
of like a
turned
combo
from
deck.
combo to no, it turned from
Yeah,
combo to control, kind of
yeah,
like Yishiv
absolutely.
was
With a
combo,
finisher. Yeah,
and this is like actually more control than it is
yeah.
combo.
So
Has a finisher on top.
what's your favorite card in all of Shadowverse? I know that's a hard question to answer. You don't have to be
I mean,
100% on it being your
actually,
favorite
from the
card.
guts, like out of nowhere, if I have to say that,
Hmm.
the first card I always think about is Seraph. So maybe you can say it's Seraph. Like I even have like that overlay on my stream.
Hmm.
Whenever I have a break, it's like this 4 pictures of Seraph popping out. So you could say it's Seraph.
From 1 to 10, how much effort do you put into having your serif centered? Because I know people have asked Bottles that, and Bottle said it's his utmost effort to always have it centered. So
To have it centered, like in the middle of the
yeah,
field.
when it pops,
I
it
know, I
pops
know.
on the center or it pops.
I actually always put effort, like if I want to proc it centered, but sometimes I deliberately proc it not on the center to
Oh,
trigger people.
I,
Because they get triggered if I don't proc it in the center. It's
I
obviously
know.
I can do that,
I
but I
do.
just don't.
I wasn't even aware that this was a phenomenon.
This is pretty old. Like it matters for people who have played like before Unlimited even existed.
Yeah, exactly.
So during all of the time you played this season in the Brigade of the Sky Shadowverse Open, what is the most interesting thing that you think has happened to you in some of your games?
Mm, like overall seeing a lot of non-interesting thing happen because I scrubbed out all the time.
I remember a particular Ouroboros showing up.
But that was last. That
Oh
was
yeah,
last season, not this season. It was in the finals of last season. That's the finals was particularly interesting because oh oops, I fucked up. I mean, like the finals was like the reset of two best of fives. Like it went down to all 10 games versus Asia in the finals, right? But that's like history. That's like past. We gotta look forward and like make this happen again this
That-
season.
Was that the Ouroboros off the Dragon Summoner?
No, that
No?
was against Ludi.
Mhm.
But that was where the Ouroboros comes in like clutch at the last second and it pushes the last
That
3
was
damage.
that was in versus Ludi.
Bloody bro.
And it's especially painful because I misplayed the round before that, but let's not get into that.
What about unlimited? Did you get any
Um,
clutch Darias? Any roach?
Oh, I mean, I don't
clutch
know if it's like
games?
supposed to be like that, but I felt like I was rolling quite high with Daria, except for that one game where I didn't even play the game. I passed like 4 turns or something.
That was
Except
my
that one,
experience.
yeah. Except that one game, the rest of the games I felt uh, like if I were to say about a specific match that stayed in my memory was versus Esia, because like he was targeting Daria, right?
Mhm.
And then we had to face round one. Like he had to buy round one and round two. I had to face Esia immediately, and obviously he didn't ban Daria, and he played like a deck that had triple refs, and I don't know, had a 10-10 on turn 5 that had Storm. So yeah,
That's big.
pretty good deck.
That's a
Yeah,
big blade mage.
it was very insane. Like the Daria pulled like 3
Enchanted.
blades.
Yeah.
Yeah, and before that I had like dumped my entire hand, and he was like, "Come on, man."
Yeah, that's definitely a reaction that comes from limited. There's always a bit of sour taste when you see your opponent just high roll and get the crazy Daria turns.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise you have the option of banning Daria, but he just banned Roach, which is kind of as degenerate as Daria is, or even more so.
So, Sheepy, some time passes, about 6 months pass. You're on the Shadowverse design team. You can buff one card, you can nerf one card, and you could bring a single card from Unlimited into rotation. What do you do?
Oh! There's a single card that would make a lot of people very happy if I brought that from unlimited to rotation, and that would be D shift. A lot of people are going to be very happy. If
A
D
lot of
shift
people are going to be in pain.
I thought he was gonna say Seraph, man.
No, Seraph is not nearly as triggering as D
I know, I
shift.
know, I know.
Actually, Seraph would suck because people just taking Sutungur. Rip Seraph.
There's actually an answer to that nowadays, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like back
better
then
than
we had Odin too, right?
Yeah, but like Odin costs 8 and this costs only 6.
Yeah. Odin is not
Which-
the best.
Yeah.
So that's the card that you would bring from Unlimited into rotation. What would you nerf and what would you buff?
Oh, having to buff things. I don't know. I guess that's why I'm not working on the balance team. I just play whatever they give me. Nerf. Right now it feels like Nicholas could be nerfed for
Hmm.
rotation.
It's interesting. Yeah, he's a lot of value for 4 mana.
Yeah, a little bit too strong. I think he's like probably literally no puppet deck does not play him 3 times, right? But
Yes,
basically,
0 mana effects or bodies. Oh, have always been very strong in card games. Like you being able to cheat out so
Yeah,
many
the-
stats for so cheap. The fact that the 5/5 body doesn't cost you any resources. You
yeah.
can play on curve of 4/3, which is a very fairly balanced stat line for that
I mean,
cost.
4-3 is vanilla is pretty bad,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
but
5-5 makes up for it.
exactly. So
And also like the strength, like the enhanced part is very strong. You can drop a 1 on 7 and then 1 on 8 and then you win.
It's such a good feeling. He just yells emergency operations. You get like 6 Robomies.
yeah, there's no Bahamut's anymore for
Yeah,
that. There's no rats actually.
The best thing we got to deal with those 5/5s are is it Pure Annihilation? That's the Haven one?
Yeah.
it's having a stronger board. Having 5 flame destroyers or something. You can have 5, but like 3 flame destroyers prior to that is also pretty good.
Yeah, triple Flame Destroyer is definitely pretty solid. Kind of reminiscent of triple Chimera just wiping your board on turn 3. So, where can people go to find you if they're interested in you? So, streams or Twitter, stuff like that.
Yeah, I just wrote down the stream link there. So I don't stream very often, but occasionally, like once per week or something. And it would be like twitch.tv/onionsheep.
I will grab
And
that and I'll put that in chat for
people
everyone.
can follow me on Twitter. I tweet like mostly like the decks, like from the Grand Prix and from the tournaments. Whenever I do top placings, you can start net decking if you follow me on Twitter. And also like I'm always on the Team Disaster Discord. So it's usually the Discord where most like the strongest competitive players hang around.
hmm
Like it's I don't think it's very good if you just want to talk about memes and stuff, but like when you're trying to improve at the game, this is pretty good. This server and people talk there mostly about like how to get better at the game if they're not talking about Dota.
So, that's all the questions that we have for you. Is there something that you would have wished we had asked you, Mr. Onion Sheep?
Mm, the color of my no, let's not go.
The-
Yeah, I think my wishes are fulfilled, and that was a pretty fun interview.
All right.
So for any of you guys that are watching, if you have any questions for Sheepy, make sure to drop them on chat. And at the end of the episode, if we have a bit of free time, we can redirect those questions. So feel free to do that.
But in the meantime, we are going to jump into the Clash in the Name of Glory.
Clash in the name of glory.
Glosh.
Clash!
For those of you that are used to it, we ask 3 questions of our guest, and this time around, the one playing the game will be Mr. Cezero. I'll be directing the questions. We may ask 3 questions. Each one of the players will have a minute to answer, give their opinion, and then it's up to you to rate the questions or the answers, I guess, the answers, and see who came ahead in this clash. In the name of glory. So the first question will be, which class is the strongest in the limited? And why? We'll start with Mr. Sheep, our special guest. You'll have 1 minute starting when you start talking.
So just this one question, right? Strongest unlimited class and
Yes. Just a question each time, 1 minute for each question, and you'll take turns answering the question.
why? Can I keep it shorter than 1 minute?
Of course. Yeah, use your time.
Okay,
Minute
Shadow.
to use.
Done.
But
Shadow?
you have to explain why. You have to
Oh
explain.
yeah, Lady Grey actor. Done.
it's. You sure you don't want to add anything else?
We
That's
can go into that in the next question, but this
Got
is
it.
basically all that is to it.
I want to use some of your time, and I'm going to say Death's Breath. I'm just going to add that to it.
No, Lady Grey and actor.
No?
Fuck
All
that.
right. All right. Death Breath isn't even a good card. All right, good to know.
That is the answer our guest has chosen for, and go ahead and vote on it. I agree. I think it's a very, very, very refined answer. Yeah, I can see you tested this format a lot. You practiced a lot, and you played a lot of Lady Grays. How much? Actually, fun question. How many Lady Grays did you have in a single match? What was the maximum amount of Lady
Does
Grays?
it count
In the
those
board,
who
at
come
the
back?
same time. What?
At
Sorry.
the same time.
At the same time.
I think at the same time was only 3. I thought like in total is probably like 9 to 10. Or something.
I had
Like,
4. I had 4 at the same time on the board, so I win. Anyways, the same question goes to Mr. Cezero. You'll have 1 time starting from when you talk.
So I think, other than Shadow, I think Shadow is absolutely a very strong class in Unlimited. I think Runecraft is also incredibly strong in Unlimited. I think they have access to 3 incredibly powerful decks between Dirt Rune, D-Shift, and Daria, and they're all attacking you from different angles, so you can't, if you prepare for 1 or 2 of them, you can't prepare for the 3rd one. And I think that's where a lot of the power comes from. I think like between D Shift having such an uninteractive win condition where they just like they cast a bunch of spells, they get there and they just one turn kill you. That's control decks have a lot of trouble dealing with that. For something like Daria, to deal with that, you need things like Bahamut, you need things like ways to clear the board to stop them from going crazy with their Darias. And then with not D Shift, with Dirt Rune, playing around Dirt Rune's always been kind of weird, I feel like. You need healing to beat them. You need to
10
make
seconds.
you need healing to beat them. You need to make sure that you can keep that their board under control to some extent. And if their board gets out of control, or if your board gets out of control, they can just mutable you, and then there's nothing you could really do
Die.
about it.
All right. Yeah, I agree. The flexibility of craft makes it a solid choice for a tournament format. As you said, multiple ways to attack, and if there was sideboard, it's very interesting to see how players would sideboard combat route, or if they would just give up and just ban it. I believe it was the most popular ban deck, if I'm not mistaken, from what I heard from players on Hallowed Sky as well as Zero Fine. The experience we had was that people were banning a lot of craft. So again, I banned every single Dirt Rune craft that I had the chance of. So I think craft was a solid pick
No,
for this.
I have no respect for dirt. I always left it up, and the only time where I banned it, I lost.
weekend. Any particular reason why you don't respect it?
I don't know. It's just not. It just doesn't feel scary playing against dirt. But like I banned throughout the entire tournament the shadow, unless they didn't have shadow.
I feel like a lot of decks can beat Dirt Rune, and I feel like a lot of them have like a pretty good game against them. But sometimes you can't handle that Oz mutable or that Oz grand summoning. I feel like sometimes it's just too backbreaking.
Yeah, or they don't just miss their 2-drops and you in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've-
exactly.
I've missed quite a
Even
few 2-drops in
their
that deck.
2-drops. I played a lot of Dirt Rune. I never played Dirt Rune in my life until this format, and I played a lot of Dirt Rune. I had like 10 lose streak, and I was like, "But I'm curving. I'm playing a 2-drop, a 3-drop, a 4-drop. Why am I losing?" Because it was an illusionist. It was an illusionist. It was Nalo Golem. It wasn't Carl. So I'm like, I guess that's why I'm losing. They need very specific cards on very specific turns, which is something I don't want to play. But when it works, it's fantastic.
I mean, Shaddad has had 8 2-drops in his third, but apparently he drew a lot of illusionists.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't
That's
need
the-
other 2-drops.
Once you have your one illusionist, you have a 2-drop on the field for the rest of the game, man.
And I've told the story against Fatina on the second one, Starforged Legends, I believe. I don't know. The second time I faced him on the grand finals, I beat his Dirt Rune, my dragon. He had a solid curve. And then second time I reset the bracket, I go against him. He throws his entire hand away as Dirt Rune. I'm like, oh, nice. I guess I can win again. And then he gets Cauldron, Illusionist, Carl, Alo Golem. I'm like, oh, okay. Because that's the thing is when those decks sometimes high roll, it's very hard to stop.
Yeah, personally, I just found always like turn 2 illusions is pretty scary. It's strong, but it's because of the nerfs revert as well. 2-1 would not be nearly as scary.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Absolutely.
The thing is also turn 3 Atomy is way scarier, and the turn 4 Atomy into turn 5 Atomy is also about as scary, and that's exactly what happened when I left Shadow up.
And
Just
that
got
was
absolutely murdered.
that was a beautiful segue. Thank you so much, Sheepy, for our second question. The second question is, what is your opinion about the recent nerfs that we saw for the Tempest of the Gods set that rotated out? Do you believe the same would be applied for Wonderland Dreams? And you'll have 1 minute starting now. We'll start with Cezero this time.
So when I saw the unnerfs and they unnerfed Ektar, I kind of thought to myself, all right, people really like this card. I understand where they're coming from with this. And then I was playing for a bit, and then it didn't register in my mind that they unnerfed Sybil, and I was playing Dragon for a bit, and after like the 10th Sybil I played, I looked at my board, and I was streaming when this happened, and I was like, wait, when did they unnerf Sybil? This is a 4/5 now again? I didn't mind the Sybil unnerf. I feel like when we had Sybil unnerfed in rotation, I felt like she was pretty weak after that. I felt like we played her just because she was Sybil and because she got the job done pretty well. But I felt like she was never great after that. And I actually do like the Sybil unnerf. I feel like that's fine. But Then I saw that they unnerfed Illusionist, and this also happened on stream where my opponent just plays 2/2 Illusionist like a week ago on me. And I was just like, hold on! This one is not okay. Why is this card coming back? Like it just I thought that Illusionist was way too much value. I think Ektar is absolutely a lot of value too. I think if they're going to unnerf things from Wonderland Dreams, they need to be
5 seconds.
very careful with it because that was a very dangerous set.
All right, that's time. We'll go for Mr. Sheepy now. Feel free to start when you want.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the pool right now. I don't even know what's inside Wonderland Dreams. Ah, okay.
Alice.
I can help you. The cards that were nerfed in Wonderland Dreams were Sibber, Big Knuckle Bodyguard, Spawn of the Abyss,
Spawn, Toad.
Baphomet, Felice, Lion. I believe Lion was also Wonderland Dreams. Sorry about that.
Mhm.
And believe that's it, if I'm not
Toph.
mistaken. Toph, thank you. Toph.
Oh, bring back
and
Toph.
Alice.
Please bring back
Snow
Toph.
White.
Snow
Oh my
White,
god,
of
please don't
course.
unnerf Snow White.
So we'll have 1 minute starting when you want, Chief.
Okay, we just had that like from the reaction from Szerro. We don't want Wonderland unnerfed. Like imagine going back into the 2-mana 3/3 rush or Spawn or Snow White. You never want to see that shit ever again. Like Big Knuckle Bodyguard for 4. Thank you. We can like it's unnecessary, right? Like if you really do unnerve all those things, it's gonna actually completely overtake the meta and just have like unlimited being basically blood meta or
But wasn't it what happened? Now let me throw a curveball. Wasn't it what happened when they unnerved the Tempest of the Gods set? Because that set was very powerful too. They mentioned that the design philosophy was to make strong cards to help less played classes. They nerfed them when they went to unlimited. So that's why the question is, will they do the same for Wonderland? Because they did it to Tempest of the Gods.
I mean you can't do it to some cards but not to say Toph. You can't. It's not fun and it's not good. You can't do it like for Toph, right? But they would probably like always unnerf like those complex cards like Ektar or like a legendary cards, Abyss or I don't know, Snow White. And if you do that in unlimited, it's maybe more fine. But I still rather not see it. Like I don't really want them to unnerf anything, and I don't think they would need to unnerf those things. Because like except blood, no, everything is played anyways in unlimited right now.
Time. So, yeah, but funny enough, the curious one to me was Ektar. I don't. You guys didn't talk about it. Do you wanna? I'll give you like 20 seconds to talk about Ektar if you want. If any of you wants to talk about Ektar, what do you guys think about the Ektar change?
So when Catacombs was at 3 mana, when Ektar was at 7, and when they had Death's Breath, and that was just in before we had the rotation split, and that was just standard. I was a masochist and played exclusively Forest Craft, and that matchup was garbage. And that was like 50% of the ladder all the time. And it just every time they played Ektar, man, I just wanted to cry a little bit more. And
It is still garbage.
yeah, the matchup's still not good. It's just I feel like Ektar for certain matchups is just lights out for and it's not like that it's only a little bit of matchups. It's quite a few matchups, and I feel like they're just decks that just can't do anything about Ektar. Like when you're playing Vengeance Blood and you're like at the same pace the entire game, and then their turn 7 comes around and they Ektar you, and you're at 10 HP and they're at like 16 or 12 because you couldn't get in that much damage. You're just like, I can't lose. I can't just go face anymore. I can't win because I can't go face anymore. I'm just going to lose the race. It feels bad.
Interestingly enough, the way to fight that, and we actually had Vengeance versus Shadow in the meta in the first ever NGE. That was very meta, Vengeance, Blood, and Shadow. And the way we fought that was by being aggressive. I remember Season A was playing aggro bats because he's very fast. You could rage it when they Ektar you. You can rage reclaw their face. I was playing Vengeance Blood. They play Ektar, you emeralded them and finish the game with like Rage Reclaw or a Dark General. Right now, Lady Grey just stops that play. It's such a massive roadblock that it's a 3/5, very hard to kill. Diabolic Drain doesn't kill it. Trust me, I've tried. I've tried desperately to kill the Lady Greys. Very hard to kill. Even evoing from a Skull Ring in place without even trading with it. A 3/5 is very hard to kill, especially when they have Drain. So it's such a difficult roadblock for Vengeance and any Blood deck to deal with. And then you just have the Ector to finish things off.
Going
It's like
back,
a win condition versus bats.
going.
Like, I don't know if you know about the bat's blood that's next to Vengeance, but Lady Grey just wins the matchup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Aggro Roach too. They like once they play the first or second Lady Grey,
Mm.
they lose. And then if that's not enough, then they have Death's Breath to fall back on at some point, or something like that.
5 health is too hard. Like, you need cards like Dance of Death, but you're fighting 2 mana, actually 4 mana worth of stats in 2 mana when you playing a 5 mana removal spell. That's not good in the meta. Too slow, too clunky.
Lady Grey
So-
is more than 4 mana because a 1/3 with Drain I feel like is worth a little bit more than 2 mana.
But
And
let's
then-
not get ahead of ourselves. We'll talk
Yeah.
about spoilers. We'll talk about Lady Grey a bit more, and let's go for the third question. And we'll start with Sheepy this time. And do you believe? I think people in chat will react to this question. Do you believe the time allowed for each turn is enough? And what implementations would you had, if any?
Yeah, I mean, you know that I would like have all the time in the world to play my turns. But honestly, I think mostly it's like 90 seconds is enough. I wouldn't add more. I wouldn't also be opposed if they did that like other card games where they just restrict like the first turns a little bit shorter, where they have like, I don't know, 30 seconds for first turn and second turn like 45 seconds or 60 seconds. But I think the time is actually enough, like 90 seconds. But what definitely needs to change is like the evo animation, ways you are like basically paralyzed. You cannot do anything during the evo time. You either have to be able to cue the commands and like disable the animation, or you have to be able to disable the entire thing completely. And just like when you evo, it just happens some quick animations and not like freeze you for 3 seconds where you watch the ring go down and then rope your entire turn. And this way you actually have more time to think about your turns.
10
where,
seconds.
like, instead of like 85 seconds, you have like actually 90 seconds to think about your turn. And I think that the timer is okay. The prolonging of the rope is okay, and they just need to fix that. The rest, I'm pretty happy.
Time. All right, Zero, start whenever you want.
So I think for the most part, having 90 seconds per turn is usually fine. I definitely agree that sometimes the Evo animations can really mess you up. Sometimes you know exactly what you want to do, but you just can't click in time, and it's like, come on, I knew what my play was. I had the whole thing figured out. I had the APM to click it, but I wasn't able to just because the game wouldn't let me click it. And that always, losing a game like that always feels really bad. One thing an idea that I like is like if we look at chess or if we look at Magic the Gathering Online, they have an actual like time bank where each player has like 15 minutes to take their overall total game, or each people they have 20 minutes or however much that is. And they only lose time based on how much time per turn they use. So instead of having 90 seconds, they just have the total 20 minutes, and if they run out of time, they lose the game. I don't know if I think that's actually a necessary change for Shadowverse, but I do think that would be an interesting thing for tournaments to have, so that a player can sit down on that really complex turn, take that minute, 2 minutes that they really need to figure out what they wanted to do on that turn. 'Cause sometimes you do have that really complex turn that you spend hours on if you had the time for.
It's time. Definitely think you guys bring very strong points. I've been asking for the Evo option for a really long time. Actually, I had an unfortunate experience where I was playing, I think it was PDK or something like that. I was playing the Fire Lizard, and the Fire Lizard, when you play it, is a fanfare target. And it was a very complicated turn. There were like 4 attacks that I had to queue into, and there was trades involving Evos happening. And what ended up happening was my Fire Lizard, it's a target ability, and I clicked a bit down instead of clicking the card. So what it does is when you don't select anything, the card goes back to your hand, and you have to remake that whole process. And that was enough to change the entire turn and mess me up, and I had to rediscover what I was about to do, because that small change, that small thing, can definitely crush you when the Evo is so punished, because I still had a lot of things to go. So I think the Evo is so easy to implement. Just make the card rotate in place. That's it. Just rotate it and make it have the stats and make it have the new art, I suppose. And just give us the options. I know the big selling point is the art style, is the leader animation is really cool. I really love to see new leaders. But after a while, I've seen them all. I just want to play some competitive, or just allow that option for a tournament mode. Just allow me to not have that. As for the time bank, I believe that's something. Actually, surprised we talked about this in the pre-show. Why are digital card games not using it? It seems like it's such a brilliant way to make people play fast, because they're being rewarded for playing fast, not necessarily punishing the snow players, but rewarding fast play, because you might have a difficult decision. Look at this. You have 10 minutes to make that difficult decision. I think what they're trying to think is, since we're mobile, we don't want to have a person on the other side taking 20 minutes on turn one, because we all know people troll in the internet. So I think that's what they are afraid of.
Can I add another idea that I just thought of while you were talking that's also a
Sure,
fix? So let's say you're running out of time on the circle, right? You see it like closing and closing and closing in on you. If you're like frantically clicking buttons, what if every time you make an action, the circle just expands a little bit more, so you have that little bit of extra time to cue all those actions in once you're actually making the actions happen?
I believe Magic the Gathering Arena actually does that. I think the time you get a beat of time when you resolve a spell, or because there are interactions in that game where you need to resolve like 30 things in the same turn, so they give you time for that. So I think that would be very interesting when you're doing actions. If it's applied only when the ring is closing, I think it's perfect. So you don't have people abusing it. And that was it. Guys, feel free on chat to vote on your favorite answers. At the end of the show, we'll see which one has the most votes. I'll go say, I guess, PogChamp for Mr. Sheepy. And let's go with... what emote should we go for Mr. Cezero? Let's see. Let's go with Craigasm.
I want
Craigasm.
Kappas. I want Kappas.
Kappas. Okay, let's go Kappa for Cezero. If you want to vote for Cezero, go Kappa. If you want to vote for Cheapy, go Frankenz for Cheapy, because he has a nice dog. I like that.
Why not Kappa Pride?
Kappa Pride. All right, Kappa Pride then. And with this, we end the clash in the name Glory, and we move on.
And we're going to be going into this week's card of the week, and I hope it's on the screen, but here we go.
Come, I'll love you down to the bone.
So this week's card of the week.
Which card that is?
Yeah, this week's card of the week was a card that we already talked a little bit about. It is Lady Grey. So, yeah, Lady Grey, guys.
Do you want to go first, Cheapy? I'll let Sheepy go first.
Good card, good curves, pretty good on curve.
That's all you have to say. This man won a tournament because of cards like this, and he's like, nah, it's
because of good curves, right? Look at that curve. Even better on Evo curves.
So
I'll do 3 questions, and I'll pass the ball to Cezero. I'll do 3 questions. First, why is this card the 1/3 for 2 mana? Second, why does she fully evolve and summon a 2-drop when fully evolving? By fully evolving, I mean gain +2/+2 on Evo. Third, why do they feel the need she needed Drain and completely obsolete a card like Ceres? Go.
I'm curious, is there even a 2-drop card with a powerful Evo effect that also has a keyword stapled onto it? I think this is the only one. I can't think of anything else. It might be a bold claim, but I feel like Lady Grey may actually be one of the strongest 2-drops in the game.
There's Matera with a Clash. I guess Clash is a keyword.
But that's a 4-drop though.
Oh,
I'm talking like your Levi's, your Magic Owls.
Your Lyrials, yeah. I get it.
Like, they all have their effect that comes at the cost of an Evo, and that's it. None of them else have a swingy effect like Drain. None of them have Rush. None of them have...
Vampire doesn't have
an Evo effect.
But it's like the same stats and like power creep.
It's like, I feel like to call Lady Grey like power creep on Sweet Fang, I feel like it's 2 levels of power creep. I feel like not just one.
It's 2 mana of Power Creep.
Wait,
Because
does neutral count as a keyword?
Because let's be real. Let's look at Philan, right? Philan is such a powerful card. She doesn't fully evolve, right? She's a 1/3, gets a very strong effect, gets you 2 mana of stats, but costs 4 when you fully utilize her effect. Lady Grey, you just need an evil point. For an evil point, you gain 4 mana of stats. It's like you're playing Dimension Shift and you have a spell that's like -2. You actually gain 2 mana on that play. And not only that, you can combine it with Catacombs on 6. On turn 6, you still have evil point. I've done it multiple times. I've suffered multiple times where I clear my shadow opponent's board, or my board is cleared. They evolve a Lady Grey, they play a Catacombs. That's it. That's another Catacomb board that's very resilient. So, and you can stack Lady Greys with Skull Rings. Like, I had 4 Lady Greys. I've asked Sheepy how many he had. He said 3, but he played like 9 or at 9 on the game. Like, it's. I get it what they're trying to do. It's a rotation card for Shadow. They try to, I guess, buff Shadow a bit on rotation, but I think that's not the way to go. I think that if they want to make Shadow important or reliable, I don't think it's by replacing Ceres or by giving such a strong 2-drop and an insane effect.
And I feel like Shadow as a whole has like some of the stronger 2-drops in the game. And I feel like the fix for Shadow is not give them an even stronger 2-drop. Like, I'm still, this is a question for you guys. I want you guys to challenge me. Is there a 2-drop in the game that's stronger than Lady Grey? Because I genuinely, maybe Magic Owl, maybe.
Andrew Alphas has last words and evil effect.
Evil effect doesn't fully evolve.
And he's also a 1/2. Andrew Alphys is gimped on stats.
Right.
That's the thing. It doesn't fully evolve, though. Just keep that in mind. A 2-drop with a powerful effect.
Vania.
Vania?
Uh,
She does 1 damage when you have a bat.
Keyword. She doesn't have a keyword.
Well, the keyword is whenever a bat comes into play, deal 1 damage. That's the keyword.
But is there evil a powerful effect?
No, the only 2-drop that was stronger than Lady Grey was pre-nerf Tove.
Pre-nerf Tove.
I think so.
Could you imagine if Snow White was a shadow card?
Yeah,
and you could bring back Snow Whites with your Lady Greys?
Snow White probably was also better than like
Snow White. I think Snow White at the moment can compete with Lady Grey actually. But the thing is that Shadow can abuse Lady Grey in Unlimited, right? With plays like Catacombs, Skull Rings. If Haven had a way to create more Snow Whites,
they have the Ward Doggy.
Snow White would be a problem.
The only
like
the animate
2/3 stats just wins the game. Like if you play a 2/3 on turn 2, it's still game winning in a lot of matchups. So you can't do that anymore. You don't have the 2/3, right? 1/3 is pretty disgusting, but imagine you play a 2/3 on turn 2.
Nah,
it's this game. That's why Snow White was so strong.
Yeah,
and the only thing stronger than this is a 3/3.
She's still very strong.
At least with Snow White though, at least evolving Snow White for the most part kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you just need to go first and drop Snow White, and you have won the game.
Oh
That's
yeah,
really
absolutely.
We can reserve a special podcast, a special show for our appreciation and love of Havencraft and the state of Havencraft. But I believe this is not the time to talk about Snow White. This is the time to talk about Lady Grey. Just a quick fun fact. Today I saw I was watching Taiwan. I saw Snow White kill a 3-drop, and I was sad. I was expecting more for Snow White. She killed a 3-drop, and I was like, oh, only this.
Could have gotten more.
Could have gotten more.
It's a lot of value out of your 2-drops.
Just saying.
So to me, here are the cards that are comparable to Lady Grey. I feel like it's Lady Grey, it's Snow White, it's Tove before nerf, it's Roach. Yeah, Roach is definitely up there.
Levi, in a sense, when
Magic Owl.
When Levi was printed, his impact was just out of the world. So I guess
Levi has too much competition now. I think though.
But not Levi now. But Levi in Darkness Evolved, absolutely. Like it was nothing.
I mean, Roach has been here around forever and still stays around forever and will stay around forever.
Yeah,
they don't treat Roach like he's a 2-drop. I don't think.
Yeah, it's not a 2-drop. It's not a 2-drop. It's a win cup.
Bloodwolf and Snow White were mentioned in chat.
Bloodwolf is restricted.
Yeah.
Also doesn't have an Evo effect. I guess the Evo is deal 4 damage.
I think Vera is definitely one of the stronger 2-drops in the game. I think she's cool, but is she better than Lady Grey? Maybe. Maybe not.
I think. I hate playing against Lady Grey as much as I hate playing against Hector. I actually don't feel good playing Lady Grey either. I think when a card is too powerful, I don't even like to play it. Because I don't feel rewarded for playing such a powerful. I'm playing a 2-drop that has like 5 stats or something ridiculous like that, and my opponent is playing like a 1/2, 2/2. I'm like, okay, I win. Great, next game. Same can be said for Hector. Like Hector, it's like 20 mana of stat. We did the math once. It was like 20 something mana of stats in a freaking 7 play point card.
A
It's like
4/2 rush is
one-
worth about 3 play points, maybe a little
Yeah,
more.
we calculated it to be 3.5, I think, or 2.5, something like that.
Vera.
Yeah, 2.5. A 4/2 rush was like 2.5.
Great comment in chat. Hedgehog isn't that good at dies to Doomblade.
So, anyways, if that was your guys' opinion of Lady Grey, you don't want to say anything else other than play this card.
I think Lady Grey is too strong. I don't know if I got that point across.
Do you think it will be nerfed? Is there any chance they will nerf it?
I really
Because
hope she
Rotation
gets
Shadow
-1/-1
is not
on
played
evolve.
at all.
Don't you have to nerf Vera too if you nerf this?
But do you guys think instead of like asking you what nerfs, do you guys think they will nerf them? Because the play rate of Shadow win rate is not very high.
I don't think Lady Grey will get hit by a nerf.
Will it be restricted? Do you think they will limit Lady Grey?
I
Oh,
don't think so.
Probably
Maybe in the future, but I don't think anytime soon.
Probably not.
It's really strong, but she's like, I can't imagine that they'd actually nerf a silver 2-drop like that when Unlimited doesn't get an insane amount of spotlight on it. If Unlimited
No,
was
they
like,
always nerf bronze and silver cards because you wouldn't get as many battles back as from legendary cards.
Exactly. If they're nerfing a legendary, it has to be a very problematic card like Alice. Like Alice,
Yeah.
Lion, and Nectar were very problematic cards. That's why they changed them.
Yeah, it was
Spawn
small,
change, I believe spawn change was just to make people not backlash too much. Because let's be real, I think they only did that change because people crafted spawns and they just wanted to pay them back for the Tove and Baphomet crazy things that were happening. Anyways, I just wanted to see a 2/4 Lady Grey when she evolves because that 5 health is such a massive breakpoint. I don't know if you guys, how much experience you guys have on chat, but like 4 to 5 is a massive difference in Shadowverse. I mean, we saw Sybil, right? Sybil was a 6/7. 6/7, 5, 6/7, 5/6. There's a big difference there too. But like 4 health and 5 health they're massive breakpoints. Like most of your Evo targets have 4 attack, so it's like my 2-drops can't kill Lady Grey, and I'm like, my Vira can't kill Lady Grey, so it's like stuff, man.
I just don't understand why this 2-drop heals you more than Ceres does. Like, Ceres was never a bad card by any means, and late in this card just like power creeps Ceres out of the universe. You have no reason to play Ceres when you could just play Lady Grey.
Unless you're a very control-y deck that plays both. Like, you're never gonna see a deck play Ceres without Lady Grey unless it's like a weird Nephthys deck without 2-drops or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine that happening.
Still waiting for the nerf revert on Ephemera.
Oh, please no.
Oh, please. Please no. Oh, Wonderlands is coming. That's another one that was nerfed in one. I think Ephemera was from
Council of Card Knights on nerf.
Council
Let's
of Card
go.
Knights. That was another one. Oh my god, there were so many cards nerfed.
I'm holding out. I believe they're going to unnerf Big Knuckle Bodyguard.
Oh.
I believe I would.
That's one I would. I would want Big Knuckle Bodyguard.
Chat, who here wants a Big Knuckle Bodyguard unnerf? I may go around and make a petition. Unnerf Big Knuckle Bodyguard. Send it into Games.
I think 3/4 Bodyguard in rotation would be okay. Change my mind.
I look at Matera and I think like Knuckle was fine. Big Knuckle was okay.
No, it's a fanfare. It's not fine. If it was on Evo, of course it's fine.
It's not fine. It's not fine. It's strong, but I believe that Blood can have strong cards. I think they're in a healthy space where they can have a strong card.
It's also like Sabur didn't even make
It-
sense when you put pink face.
That one I agree.
If Shadow can have Lady Grey and still be garbage in rotation, I think we could have Big Knuckle Bodyguard.
Yeah, but it's gonna rotate.
I think Big BKB paid the sins of Sabrur actually. Like that aggro blood deck was so strong because he could just like tempo you out and then loses the board, but like can Rage Reclaw on Sabrur your face. That's like deal with. They could do like 12 damage reach, and that was very hard to deal with.
Big Knuckle was absolutely a ridiculous card. Like, I remember that card being so incredibly powerful. The fact that you didn't need to commit an Evo to it made it like even more over the top. But I can also remember a lot of times back in that meta or before Big Knuckle got nerfed where Big Knuckle was sitting in my hand and I think I wish this was a different card because I have no good targets. Or I have targets, but they're not things I want to hit with
I mean,
this.
he's definitely a strong card, but I think the whole package made it seem like it was even strong because they had like Blood Wolves, they had Vania, I believe, was still in the format, but I'm not. Yeah, Vania was still available. Like they had obviously Bats, Vania. They had the Sabru, the Big Knuckle Bodyguard. It's just such a tempo aggro game that they can play. They had the Ambling Wraith. Ambling Wraith was also a very strong one drop. So Goblin. They had all the 1/2s for. At the moment, we don't have them. So a Big Knuckle Bodyguard in the format where there's only Goblin available, I think would be okay.
I just missed the guy. I had so many good times playing that card. I miss him. But let's get back into our last segment for the day.
These are my best work.
So we have custom cards coming up. So today we only have one custom card we're going to be talking about. And that card is, I believe, called Ramen Noodles. And that card was chosen by Mr. Sheepy over here. And Sheepy's talking, but I think he's muted. Oh, there we go.
The dog is barking. That's why I
It's
muted.
Jack. Jack is talking.
Jack is mad.
He has a lot he wants to talk about
Jack
ramen
does
noodles.
not like noodles. I can hear it. Does not like the noodle card.
He prefers meat. Can we see the noodle card on stream?
I believe it should be moving over, but it isn't yet. Don't know why.
It is slowly moving over to the stream.
Freckers dead.
I'm figuring this out. I'm figuring out how to get this on the screen as we're doing
Well,
this.
because if they don't see it on stream, it's hard to explain it to
Yeah.
people.
Okay, wait, hold on. We're almost there. We're almost there. There we go. Should be popping up for you guys in a second. Chat is going crazy with all the Franker-Z's.
Oh, there we go.
Alright. Fanfare. If another allied top Rayman is in play, transform all spells and amulets in your deck into demonic rams. Change the cost to 0 and destroy this amulet. Increase the amount of time you have to take your turns to 3 minutes. Now that's a card I like to have. Right? Play the game at your pace. And people know me from roping, and now I can rope even harder with that deck. And I think this card was created by Curry. So Curry ramen is even better than normal ramen.
So you're telling me that you're so desperate for time that you would discard the card from your initial hand, just to get that extra minute.
And to get the demonic rams.
Please, Games, give this man more time. He clearly needs a mechanic in the game that allows him to have more time.
Yeah, everything for time, man. Like time is like it's invaluable. It's like when you can buy time, why not? You can't buy real time with money, but in the game you can buy time with your
Actually, the
having a
opposite.
shittier deck.
It's actually the opposite, which is funny. You trade time of your life for money when you have a job or you're doing something else, which is kind of interesting. So now it's the opposite. We're
Now
discarding
we do
cards
the
for time.
opposite. Yeah.
Then time gives us money, which means we can buy more cards. Perfect cycle.
Infinite loop.
Infinite cycle.
Which means you could play even more top ramen decks.
See? He's smart.
Now I have a challenge. Which deck would you play this in? And would it be in aggro decks, combo decks, control decks, mid-range decks? Would you play it in every single deck?
My money's on Seraph. I feel like just the extra 3 minutes you get on top of the pain that you're already putting your opponent through by playing Seraph just makes it that much better.
No, in D shift. Come on.
Oh,
D
How
this
can
shift.
you do it in D shift?
Oh
was
my
gonna say,
god, you
this is
take
the
3 minutes, pass to yourself, take another 3 minutes, pass to yourself again, take another
Yes.
3 minutes, pass to yourself, giant chimera.
Zero Fine just notice this. This is a win condition card. You can actually make your opponent die or lose connections. Win con. 0 mana win con.
Overpowered, please nerf.
Make your
Oh,
opponent
Portal.
hate
Portal
life.
would use this card well, but
Yeah.
it occupies board space though. So, but it has 3 minutes to compensate for that. You have more time to make trades.
Yeah, all you really need is space on the you need the time so that you can actually trade with your followers. It's not that you actually need the space. The only reason you play out 2 of the artifacts at a time is just because you're running out of time. I want to know what you're supposed to do with the demonigrams. Like, why demonigram? Why is that the card you get with
I mean,
this?
I think
clearly
it's
see
it's
this
lore
card
based. I think it's flair.
viability in competitive play, right? And not for other purposes.
I
This
think
card
it's
is like
flair.
the
It's-
best card ever in the game created.
I think it's because it says chicken ramen, and I guess the Rams were mad because they were not considered for the ramen. I don't know.
So, would you say that this top ramen is a very flavorful card?
10 out of 10.
Very
Transforms
flavorful.
every ramen into Rams. I love that.
Very flavorful.
I love the fact that
Chicken
you have to
flavored.
spend 2 cards to actually get that effect. Like you're spending 2 cards and you're transforming everything you put in your deck into Rams.
They're not going to help you win the game, that's for sure. How do you you need to have good followers in your deck from that point forward to win, right? That aren't demonigrams?
Yeah, no spells. No spells.
I don't know, man. That's a sketchy
Yeah.
win condition.
It's weird, man. You could have like a Nact deck, maybe, and then you just play Rams the entire game. Like a 30 spell Nact deck.
There's definitely a way to do this. I am just not the one to know how to make this card broken. But guys, for everyone in Twitch chat, if you have any actual questions that you would like to ask us, or if you would like to ask Sheepy specifically, now is absolutely the time to do that. Can give them maybe a couple minutes.
I believe, actually, we didn't talk about this. I believe you'll be at Montreal too, right?
Most likely, I have like accommodation and like flights already prepared.
So for all of you that want to meet us 3, we'll be probably in Montreal if everything goes well. So make sure to come out and say, yo, I watched that podcast with Sheepy, and I thought that question was very good or very bad. Dude, I was on the podcast. I saw the top ramen. What the hell are you guys talking about?
Top Ramen is the best card in all of Shadowverse, and you guys are stupid to not think so.
Change
Yeah,
my
you are wrong. Your opinion is wrong.
Rias is asking me if I'm going to SawCon. I'm just going to abstain from answering that question.
Can you show your forest deck list, please? I'm pretty sure it'll be shown this weekend. So make sure to tune into that. There might be updates, so I don't want to show you an old list.
Why did you play Nephthys when Draw His Money is clearly the better deck? I don't know who that question was
Wait,
directed towards.
What were you asking
Wait.
me?
I
no
think
one
that
picked-
question was directed towards you, Sheepy, but I'm not sure.
He played out
Uh,
of me for Shadow.
Wait, no, he didn't mean this once. Like long ago.
Oh,
Probably that time where I played against top 3 Fatina.
oh, I remember that.
Cerro likes fidget spinners. You're absolutely right. There's one in my hand underneath the table at almost all times.
Because of somebody debating me that he will play shadow cards. I mean mid shadow. And then like bottles mind game me and tell him do not play mid shadow because Sheep is gonna target you. Because Nephthys targets Dries Money. And that's why I played Nephthys. And not Dries Money.
With a self-conscious player like myself, Destust, how do you convince yourself to play on ranked without panicking about playing perfectly?
Keep in mind that what you are playing in the end is ultimately a game. You're doing it to have fun. If you find that ranked is getting too stressful for you, you know what? You're not having fun with your game anymore. Take a break, go for a walk, go play a different game that you enjoy. Just ease up and come back to a ladder when you feel mentally prepared to go ahead and do it.
I'm actually a player that does not like to grind ranked. I'm actually doing it now because I'm streaming. Since I'm streaming, I'm finding an entertaining way to force myself to play ranked matches because people want to see me climb. And they actually ask me, "Oh, we're climbing, we're win streaking," when in fact, I'm even ignoring all that because the uh, ultimate objective is to gain something. You play games because you want to gain entertainment, you want to gain happiness, you want to pleasure your brain, solve challenges, whatever you want to do with the game. You just do it for an ultimate goal. And my goal is to actually learn and practice a game that I love. I don't care about points too much or ranked. So what you do is trick your brain. Just find something else that is interesting about you. Just play a deck that you think it's funny, or just try and learn and gain things from it.
I I don't know why like you would try to play perfectly on ladder because I don't think that's anybody's doing that. Because
And
like
that's
the people I
also
face on ladder are like usually fairly peppal and like they probably play on the bus like going home from work. That's what it
exactly.
feels like. And I never really try hard on ladder myself, and that's the problem. So it's like a trap for me. If I really want to play well, I don't go on ladder. So I'm never stressed when I play on ladder. So when you play in tournaments, you stop feeling stressed when
Yeah.
playing ladders because in tournaments it's far more stressful than playing ladder.
What is Sheepy's opinion on Brigade of the Sky expansion so far, and what are your opinion on the mini expansions?
Uh, I don't like the mini expansions because they're too expensive. I mean, I gotta say, like they actually bring some small, like fresh air into the game, but the way it's being implemented, I don't like it because it's far too expensive.
I think that's everyone's opinion, which is kind of interesting. I think it's everyone's opinion. I haven't heard anyone with a different opinion. They always love it because it's fresh, it's new.
No,
We
I
always
don't
love new
love it.
Well,
cards.
I'd rather don't have it.
What?
Well,
Sarah is
sorry.
echoing.
Yeah, there we go. I'm sorry. My headset like unplugged.
Well, sorry, I guess love is a very strong word, but they like it because it's something new that gets them interested in the game again for the last month. But no one liked. I haven't seen anyone that liked the way they implemented it.
Yeah, and my opinion on the expansion so far, uh, it's not my expansion. Let's say that, and that's also how, like, for example, I managed to like win the unlimited thing, and then like just did not perform everything else. It's probably just not my expansion. It's actually a mid-range heavy expansion, but
Yeah,
somehow
it
I
is.
just can't figure it out to work. Like it's been like that ever since rotation came up. Like it was always mid-range. Like last expansion with the mid sword and stuff, I was fine, right, doing all that. But yeah, I guess it will get better, like when mini expansion comes out. But I need to survive like the top 8 first.
Can you guys do a stream together of ladder where one person plays and the other two watch and go over decisions together? Cat Dragon, I'm sorry, that is very hard to do because we live in different time zones and we also have things to do in real life. So we'll try. We'll get a team league. You pay attention to that because the team league is exactly what you're asking for. It's just that you don't have the player's perspective, but you'll see three players coming together and exploring every single turn.
I
People
think
just do that actually. Like you, occasionally when you jump into some disaster streams like Podwasher or like I think even mine, just like random people pop up in the team and come into chat and maybe look at the game. It happens occasionally. You just have to be like catching it.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's nothing planned. Is yeah.
I was actually thinking since we have the podcast every other week right now, maybe we could even just have on the off week we could have that one time where maybe me, you, and somebody else
Exactly.
group up and we have that. So that is an idea. We will see if maybe we can do something next week. We're not sure, but we'll have to figure that out.
It's one of my favorite things to do. It's actually one of the reasons why I love to go to events is to meet obviously every single player, but to also play games with them. It was very fun on tours. We were watching Bottles, Fatina, and Ketchup play, and we were actually backseating and like talking about different plays and what was going on and on. And you definitely learn different opinions, different perspectives, and the way players talk and communicate is also very, very interesting. We had something similar like that in the first NGE, Europe versus NA. We all got together with I forgot his name, but he had a cool Vengeance Blood. Do you remember the player that played with us, Cheapy? I forgot his name, unfortunately.
Vengeance Blood?
Yeah, sorry, he played a very cool blood deck with Snatch,
Koala?
Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch.
You mean Koala Hana?
No. In the first ever NG show match, Europe versus NA, I played with you and someone else from the EU
A
side that I
Symphonous,
forgot.
right?
It,
No,
w- it
no, no,
was
no.
it was
The other
German, but it wasn't Symphonous.
Yeah,
He's not
the other,
currently active, but I forgot his
yeah,
name. It was
the
very
other,
funny.
yeah. I forgot his name too. Like he
We
was
were actually
German,
playing
right?
Ilana, and he came up with a very strong play that both of us missed, and yeah, about an attack.
Yeah, I forgot
I
who.
remember that, but I forgot his name. But it was.
Yeah, he was
Anyways,
a
just to say, it was
German.
a very cool play. You should all get together. You should get uh, your friends together and play in our tournament. Sorry for that, but
Yeah, it's going to be coming up on the 17th. I can drop a link to that in chat in a minute or two.
what are you hoping to see in the mini expansion for Forest? Same question to Zero. I want to see something else that gets procs out of buffs. So far, we have Fida and we have the Witherwood Guardian. I want to see a different, maybe a card that deals damage to face when you buff it, so that there's different play styles to buff. I believe we had Essie on the show. He also wanted support for buffs. It was before Korwa was released, but Essie was looking for payoffs for buffing my cards because he really likes that token style of buffing Forest.
Before I answer the question, I want to get back to one thing before we forget. Raya said shout out to the shirts. So these are the HSK shirts that we got. These are pretty PogChamp. Pretty excited about these. So after that little plug, what would I like to see from the mini expansion? So I have been having a lot of fun playing Vengeance Blood in Unlimited. I've been really enjoying that. I've been really enjoying how Vera herself as a card plays. I think that card is sweet. And I want to not feel like an idiot for playing Vera in rotation. So I would just like, I just want some more blood support, man. I just want us to have a good deck right now.
What about for Forest? The question was.
Oh, it's for Forest? The question was for Forest. I don't even know. Like, for what I would want for Forest, I haven't really put that much thought into it. I feel like most expansions, they give us one or two Forest cards I'm pretty happy with.
Insect Lord. I remember you were.
I was super stoked about Insect Lord.
Almost no one was playing it
Yeah,
right at the beginning.
That card came out day one. I crafted all three and said this card is going to be beyond meta. That card is so good. But what would I want? I'm not too happy with Matera. I feel like I know that card is a card that a lot of people like, and that card just doesn't feel like a Forest card to me. I would like to have had a 4-drop that's somewhat similar to Matera that you can use as like an Evo remove something, just doesn't do what Matera is doing. So maybe something like that, but I know that's very ambiguous. And I'm saying I want to, like, Matera is like a 10 out of 10 card, so I don't even know what I'm asking for here. It's hard to get a card that's going to actually push Matera out. And if we do have a card that pushes Matera out, I don't think anyone would be happy about that.
I do love the fact that the Matera card, or cards like Matera, help the go second card. Because I see on Twitch chat is what I see the most. Like, went second GG, went second GG. I won the rotation format going second 3 times, and cards like Matera definitely help in that regard. So I would like to see more ways to interact with our opponent with our Evo effects. I think there's not a lot of things to do when we evolve. I'm evolving too many vanilla vanilla cards.
What would Sheepy like to see in the mini expansion for Rune?
For Rune, I honestly just want to see something that's like not like Delafil or like those cards like specifically niche for a certain archetype and really strongly pushing one archetype.
Faust was the name was Faust, right? The The Earth
The
Sigil
dirt,
leader,
the dirt rune one.
the third one was Faust, I think. So
Yeah,
something not like that.
No more leader effect. Yeah, we have like way too many leader effects. now.
What do you think if we were to continue to get more leader effects, but actually ways to remove them? So kind of like it reminds me of the move Defog from Pokemon. Not quite the same, but like something like that, where you actually just get rid of all of the buffs that you've stacked on your leader throughout the game.
I think there's not a lot of leader effects pay off. If there was a deck that used like 3 different leader effects, obviously, but at the moment it's just like one, and some don't even stack. So
I wouldn't mind if we got more leader effects. I think leader effects are really cool, but I would like more ways to actually interact with them if we're going to be moving down this path where we get more of them. Like, I think Vera herself, like, I think that is a sweet leader effect. And I think, I know I've been saying, like, for a while that I feel
Wait,
like
that's
cards...
temporary though.
Yeah, it's temporary. It only lasts for the turn. And I think that's awesome. I think that's a really well-designed leader effect.
Yeah, that's good. But like, if you watch Stella Phil, it's like just
Yeah,
feel
it's
one for the rest of the game. No.
it's too much. It's just too much.
heal 2 in this game costs 1/2 or an Evo effect or something like that. Like in 2 turns you get an Evo effect.
I mean,
or
the what
a
I
2
want
mana.
for Rune is a card that itself, it might not even be like playable itself is okay. Like standalone card is not good, but Rune is a card that's based off heavily on synergy. Be it Rune, be it Dirt, be it Spell Boost, be it Sigils, be it I don't know, like. But I don't want to see them like printing a card that, for example, tutors Mysteria or something like that, or like it's like forced synergy. I'm just like the whole archetype with the tribal with Mysteria itself is like it never worked out. It doesn't work, and they just keep pushing it. And I'm afraid like they just push another overpowered Mysteria card, just like because Tenko didn't work out, we push some overpowered Tenko card, and I hope they don't do that.
I feel like a lot of the problem with the Mysteria cards, too, is just that they're generally just... The ones that we get for them are just generally not good, and there just also aren't enough of them.
I was gonna say that they don't commit. If they want to make a tribal, just the set has, let's say, 27 cards. Just print 27 cards of that tribal and just call it Ravnica or Tribal Shadowverse and just go all in. Because by printing 3 Mysteria cards, we will not play a Mysteria deck because our effects only happen in like 3% of the scenarios. So we will not play Mysteria because we have 3 Mysteria cards or 4 Mysteria cards. They have to commit. They have to go all into that tribal or just don't do it at all.
Mysteria is also rotating out soon, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and there's so,
didn't even see it. Like
there are so many archetypes that, like, so many tribes that they've, like, started, and then it feels like they just abandoned them. So up until they printed Prism Swing, I feel like a lot of people felt that way about lions. Serpents, what was ever the point of serpents other than these just aren't bats?
Print Lion number 5, please.
Yeah,
No.
lions are too
Lion
good right
card,
now, I
no.
feel like.
Lion is not a fun archetype to play against. So.
It's
Jade
like Jade's.
It's this immovable force. No one ever wants to play against an immovable force deck. That's just it's coming and you can't stop it. But at least D-Shift doesn't use the board too much. So there's ways to kill them instead of just they're making 2/2s, you're making 2/2s, right? But they have removal and they're making 2/2s, and they have tempo. Oh, Lion Tempo is something too.
Do I want to see more serpent or lion support? Well, we just said we don't want more lion support, and at this point, I don't want to see serpent support. It's too late. Like Starforge Legends is gonna rotate an expansion or two. It's too they took too long to make it. They needed to do it the expansion after.
Steno
is sick.
And Steno was so cool. I wish
I
I
was
could play Steno.
I was playing a really
It's
cool
kind of
deck.
like a weird deck turn, but it's funny. It's a funny deck.
I was playing a really cool deck that Hyena gave me last expansion, I think it was, or maybe it was 2 expansions ago. And people would play their Arthurs, and then I would play my Steno, and I would do like the summon snakes or whatever it's called, and it would just wipe their entire board. It felt so cool. There was one game where I had 2 Stenos on the field, and I got it was awesome. And then they just never gave us anything else to use it with.
Basically, to me, it's always a question why the only tribal thing that they pushed really hard was neutral. which isn't even. It's the most blank, boring, like non-flavorful tribal you can push is like neutral. Like neutral has no definition. It's why it's called neutral. Like you push the tribal of neutrality, and that's it. Like to me, that was confusing.
We need tribal Elf Child May, where every card in your deck is Elf Child May. Change my mind. But I think all in all, that would be it for the episode. Unless you guys have something else we didn't mention. Is there anything else?
No, I think we answered
We can
a
still
lot of
see the
questions.
top ramen card on stream.
That we can. That we absolutely can. I will get rid of that. Well, I don't have to get rid of that. But I'd like to say thank you to Onion Sheep for joining us today. Thank you to Akamaru, as always, for being wonderful co-host with me. And thank you to all of Twitch chat for being you guys. You guys have any shoutouts?
Shoutouts to HSK tournament, the team tournament. We'll be casting that, I believe, and it's my most excited format. I have never played on one, but I've always casted them, and they're wonderful to see. My favorite game ever to watch was in that tournament, and I want to see and be blown out once again. So pay attention to that one. Thank you, Sheepy, so much for showing up. Make sure you tune in this weekend. There'll be the Singapore they will qualify one person for the Contenders Cup of Singapore. So pay attention to that. It's the second LAN event outside of Japan. So just make sure you watch that. Support that as much as you can so that we can have more. Like this time around, you could be like, Singapore's too far. I can't go to Singapore. If you watch it, if there's interest in LAN events, trust me, Cygames will get more LAN events in possibly your town or your country. So make sure to show interest and go and watch it.
Shout out for my boy Bima. He will win the Singapore tournament. I believe in him. He has to win the Singapore tournament
No love.
and then make
No
it to
love.
contenders.
What about no love for Tempo Storm?
Wait, but they're not from C. Bima needs it. He's from
Yeah, I know.
CAO.
When I beat BMA, I'll tell him Sheepy has motivated me, so that's why I'm beating you.
The grudge.
I
grudge
have to
match.
jam him that he must beat you.
I can't wait for it. I'm so excited to see every
Like
model around the corner.
he's like on my squad. We have like small squads in Disaster, and he's basically like one of my like I can't say pupils, like one of the squad members on the cap.
Yeah, yes, a team member. Yeah, squad member. Yeah, yeah. He's like your Rocket League pawn. You're like the Rocket League leader, and he's like a pawn.
All right, guys. Well, that will be it for today's episode. We will be back. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Yes, 2 weeks. We will see you then, guys. Enjoy yourselves. Bye.
Bye bye.